is up, everybody? Hopefully everything's coming in loud and clear. Hopefully it looks good. Hopefully it sounds good. Good to see you all. Got some music playing in the background still for you because somebody mentioned it earlier. They liked the song. So we're playing the song for Artistic Freedom episode 86 with your boy. It's your boy, Joshua Ray Farmer, in the house. Got the sleeveless shirt on. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, guys, you're already getting spicy in the comments, so thank you for that. And thanks for being on here, everybody. This is episode 86, and we're going to be talking about something very specific this time. I promised you guys last time that we would, and this time we will. No! We will totally be talking about what? Personal growth. We'll be talking about a growth mindset. I'm going to give you guys some of the skinny on little baby Josh growing up and some of the things that he's learned, some of the things that have helped me along the way. If you guys have watched the Instagram story, you know that I asked a question. And you guys also asked questions, so I'll be answering those in a little bit. So if you guys do have questions tonight and you want to do it in the comments section, if you want to do it in the comments section, that's all up to you. But it is good to see you guys. And as always, the comment section is what makes the show. So thank you, and let's get this going. All right, so Christy, Natalie, Danbury, what's up? It looks like we got Sis on here. What's up, Rochelle? Everybody is rocking and rolling. So thanks for being on here, folks. Hopefully tonight will be a really good night and you guys will learn something new, maybe get something out of this. It's a little different. Or if you're just used to me and get that farmertude, you're used to it and it's just going to be a good old night. But for you newcomers, what's up? And if you guys want to, in the comment section, go ahead and send me something. Go ahead and send me. Because I'm going to show you something real quick before we start getting into tonight's topic, which is personal growth. And I'm going to go over a bunch of stuff. And some ideas, some things I want to share with you. It'll take me probably 15, 20 minutes. I'll try to pay attention to the comments in the meantime, but save the questions maybe for afterwards. After my little explanation, I'm going to give you guys some personal growth hacks. Not really, just some stories and some personal stuff that I've learned along my life and what's helped me. I'm going to be basically just giving you guys an introduction to my personal growth and growth mindset journey in life. So before we do that, let's see here. I'm going to explain something to you guys, not necessarily for controversial reasons, but just because I want to, and it's my show. So on Instagram, probably shouldn't even be saying names. Who knows why? So on Instagram, I posted something just recently, and I just want to show you guys something really quick. See if we can find it. Here we go. Let's turn up this brightness just a little. Let's see if you guys can see that. There we go. Okay, so on Instagram, if you guys go to my personal Instagram, it's Joshua Ray Farmer. It's probably not going to focus. There you go. So you guys probably have seen this. And on this Instagram, if you go here to this, you are going to see in the comment section, you're going to go ahead and hit the comments. I'm going to do that for you now. It says 19 comments. Cool. There's all the comments. If you notice that it was an American flag that was in the image. And I'm going to scroll and swipe at the same time. It's called swole. And look there at the bottom. Can't really see what that says. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. It says, see hidden comments. I'm going to show you guys I'm going to click on it and show you guys what the hidden comments are. There they are. There's the hidden comments from Instagram, just so you know. Let's get that in focus. There you go. So you see a guy in a storm waving an American flag, and then you see just Old Glory basking in its wake right there at the bottom. So I wanted to show you guys that because Instagram is hiding those two comments, those two posts. So go check it out for yourself, just so you guys know. So it's just one of the insights that you can physically see of how online things can be quite evil, quite treacherous, quite ugly, quite nasty. So if you guys didn't know Instagram did that, now you do. I'm sure you already guessed it, but to see it in real life and to see it so blatantly in front of your face, something so simple like just waving our flag can be so... It's pathetic. It's pathetic that we see it in such a negative way. That's why I put this post up. And then lo and behold, on the post, the comments with American flags in it, they get flagged. So our flag apparently in our country gets flagged. So for that, I wanted to bring that to your attention just because if there's any red-blooded motherfuckers out there, then thank you for that. And let's have a good show tonight. Okay, so we got a lot of you on here. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to bring that up. We don't have to necessarily touch on it all night, but a little bit of it we will. Wendy, thanks for being on here. Let's see who else we got. Let's just do this. So Christy, thanks for sending the flag. Wendy, Natalie, of course, we can just send a bunch of love. Let me move this comment. There we go. Kimmy, thanks for being on here. God bless America. 100%. You know what? Let's go to this so we could give you a little little something while we play. Look at all these flags. You guys are sending the flags because you like the flag, right? You love the flag. If you don't love the flag, you know what? That's totally okay that you're allowed to not love the flag, but it's okay for me to tell you that you're a moron. But I'm going to go ahead and just send this love your guys' way. So thanks for sending those. I love to see it. It makes me happy, even though sometimes it's literally just an emoji. I'm going to stop that. Even though it's just an emoji, or sometimes it's just a little comment at the bottom. It's still awesome to see, and it makes me feel crazy sometimes to think that it's maybe controversial at this point in time. Just recently, somebody had actually mentioned to me that in my Instagram posts, I've noticed a lot less reach lately. And it's not just because I'm kind of crying about not getting attention that I deserve for my work or for my business or for the things I'm putting, so much effort into posting, making this content for you guys, for example. But to see it get shadow banned, to see it get hidden, to see it for any reason other than maybe you just don't like it, which I'm totally cool with. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But if it's just because the flag's in the background, which, like I said, I've had multiple people, even in my business, say, hey, like everywhere you look in this place, there's a flag. And, like online, that might not be the smartest move. And I was just thinking to myself, like, buzz off, like, fuck you. I'm good. I don't need that shit. If that gets me less views, less followers, less love, then so be it. Buzz off, and I will do my thing, even if it brings me to zero. I'm totally cool with that. But it is unfortunate that that's where we're at right now, especially socially. So I wanted to bring that up because when you guys send the flags, you know that, of course, that I love them.
Fucking hell yeah.
Carol, thanks for being here. Good to see you as well. Yes, Danbury is saying that's BS, and I totally agree. Amanda, maybe this is new bringing it to your attention, but just figured I would. Rochelle, thank you so very much. Natalie, what's up? See, we could just do this all night. You guys are rocking and rolling. Danbury says, isn't IG an American platform too? IG is just a business. It's a website, just like any other business that has a website, and we're all on it. Most of us are. And unfortunately, they don't treat us necessarily as fair and justly as we'd like them to do, but they are their own business for whatever that's worth. I don't want to get into that tonight, but send those flags because we love them.
You are fake news.
Okay. So I will also bring to your attention you real quick. Do I have my second camera? Yes, I do. I don't know why. My second camera is junk. Actually, I'm trying to replace it right now. But if you guys don't know what this is, I wanted to show that to you. The nice little signature there. You see that? To Farmer. So if you guys know what that is, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. Okay, let's get back to this. So tonight, we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion before we get to the questions that you guys asked online, which were quite a few. We'll also get to some news later about some of the events coming up, whether it's the classes, paint nights, and or the wine night, which we have some cool fucking shit for wine night. So if you're not going to wine night, go to the website, check it out. I'll show you guys actually where you can do that later if you don't already know, but we'll talk about the news later. So there we go. Angela, thanks for being on here. Thanks for sending the phone. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about something very specific. I promised you last time, and I've been teasing it for a while, that we'd get straight into subject matter and make these live streams tailored to an actual subject, at least during the beginning, which is fun for me because it causes me to focus. But you guys also know that this live stream for me is very, it means a lot to me to have you guys here, and it means a lot to me to get the feedback. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to get right into it. So my growth mindset, it's a personal journey I want to share with you guys. It'll take a few minutes. We're going to get into it. That'll lead into the comments in a little while. And you guys feel free to, of course, chime in, but get spicy in the comments. Talk amongst yourselves. Share the loves. Share the flags. Whatever you want to do. Totally down. So the first thing we're going to get into is kind of my introduction to what I would consider a growth mindset. Like, why does it matter? What's it about? What's the deal? I think all of you probably know what a growth mindset is. But I don't think a lot of people adopt it. I think it's become not satire, but it's kind of become just an empty word now. Like people throw around like friends and love and I work hard. Like they just throw around phrases all the time because they feel like they should. I feel like growth mindsets, personal development journeys are one of those things that people get into the journaling, they get into the woo science, they get into the meditating and all that fun stuff. Not that these things don't have a place, but We're going to get into that now. So I'm going to explain something to you guys to give you a little bit of a insider look to Joshua's experience with his growth mindset and his, let's say, personal development journey. I'll kind of leave my childhood out of it because I was a kid and I was at the whim of my parents, so it doesn't really count. But it's not just that it doesn't count; it's that when you're a child, you're pretty much swinging off the tit. So my first real encounter with personal development really was my experience as a young kid, and this explains a lot about who I am, but maybe taps into some of your guys' experiences too. So, by the way, I'm drinking water tonight, in case you wanted to know, and my nice little repellent canister. This thing's badass. Thank you, Mark. No cigar, no whiskey tonight, just water. Okay, so as a kid, I definitely didn't have the most cush upbringing, and I owe a lot of the strength and things that I've learned in my life and resilience to my parents and to my family and to the way I was raised. Some really strong individuals. Wasn't always necessarily the most positive environment, but nonetheless, a thing I'd like to touch on in regards to personal development in my childhood is that I learned how to find good things in struggle really early on. And I really didn't have a choice. I was a very sickly kid growing up, not having many comforts, sometimes having literally zero comforts at all, whether it was clean clothes or a bed or even a home. There was plenty of times where we found ourselves not necessarily in the most prime conditions, right? Life sucked quite a bit growing up. So that being said, I learned how to find strength, find like resilience, right, in the struggle part. So that's one thing growing up that while I was still swinging on the tit, I did get in regards to the beginning of my personal development journey. Uh, but where I think it really started would, by the way, that does matter though. I don't want to graze over that. That really, how we were raised matters, right? Which emphasizes why it's so important that we raise our kids correctly and do our best, especially with parenting. What I want to bring up is one of the things that really stood out to me by the time I was 9, 10 years old. My stepfather came into my life, which I call Dad. David, you guys have heard me talk about him before. Is when he came into my life, one of the things he really started to do quickly, he noticed that there was probably some help needed on my end. I think if anybody saw me as a kid, they would know. They could take a quick look at me and know this kid probably needs some attention. So, to jump to the chase, my stepfather really quickly forced me, like gave me zero choice. Many ways he used this. This well, he kind of used it against me time to time to drive the point home that I didn't take personal responsibility. Of course, I was 10. Why would I? But I don't think a lot of people get that message. I don't think a lot of people, when they're growing up, have that person to give them that accountability. And so, for example, my dad would tell me all the time, like, oh, yeah, it's never Josh's fault. It's never your fault. It's always everybody else, right? It's your teacher, it's this. And by the way, even sometimes it wasn't necessarily my fault. Growing up, we're not always guilty of all the things we're charged of, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me not taking responsibility, but there was definitely some things I wasn't necessarily responsible for. But here's where the lesson came in. He forced me to take responsibility for things so much because I didn't take it for anything. So much that I started to take responsibility for things that weren't even necessarily my responsibility. And I'm going to explain this in a second. So, what it did, and there's a lot of people ask, like, what's a personal hack that you use for having a strong mindset, or for what do you do to work on your personal growth? I'm gonna tell you right now. Assume everything's your fault. And that sounds pretty brutal, especially when you love your kids. Maybe you don't. Maybe the stepfather, my dad, was the right person to do this for me because really didn't meet me until I was 10. And what he did was forced me through hard work, taking accountability, repercussions, and consequences. He forced me to accept that things were my responsibility, even if they weren't my fault. And I'm going to tell you right now that if there's one thing I could tell you guys, right, that really leads to an immense amount of personal growth, take responsibility completely. Maybe it's not your fault, right? Maybe there's things that have happened to you or are happening to you that's not your fault, right? No doubt. There's definitely things in life we experience that aren't our faults. And some of them very terrible, that aren't your fault for sure. But guess what? They're yours and they're your responsibility. And the quicker you pick it up, I always call it the cross, right? Jesus picked up his cross. It was his shame. It was his guilt. It was his torture. It was his, it was his to bear. It had his name inscribed on it. And so he picked that cross up and brought it all the way to the top of the mountain to be executed on. We're here to do the same. As brutal as that sounds, if you guys have questions, and I'm not making it very clear, of course, always ask me to reiterate if you have any questions in the comments. I'll do my best. But I wanted to touch on that because that's where it all started for me. So let's go into some of the experiences leading to that real quick. So as a kid, I'd get fights. I wouldn't turn in my homework, basic kid stuff, right? But I mean, I got in a lot of trouble, a lot of fights, and I got kicked out of school all the time. I was always getting in trouble. I know it's hard to believe, super hard to believe. But I was a class clown. I was always getting in trouble in school. One is because I think I was just a little too fucking smart for their boring shit. And the teachers, I didn't believe, even at a young age, I didn't believe they were qualified to teach. I just didn't feel it. I wasn't convinced that they were worth listening to. So I was quite rebellious, if you can't hear it, my voice already. So my early explorations of personal development really came from one, this doesn't sound so positive, but I would test people and find out what the real consequences are. For example, if I don't do my homework, if I don't show up to school on time, if I leave school midday, which I did in kindergarten, I left school midday. And it was just interesting because what I found later on is this isn't advice on everything in life here that I'm going to give you, but most of the time in life, I think a lot of us, we believe our limitations are so much greater than they really are. And we accept people's boundaries, kind of like an elephant on the end of a leash. It could easily just walk away and break that leash, but it doesn't because of training. So many of us don't realize how much we're being and have been trained. And if you, again, want a personal growth hack, here it is. Test the waters, test things out, right? You're going to have to get bumps and bruises. You're going to have to get bloody knuckles. You're going to have to get fat lips, metaphorically and literally. And that's how you're going to learn. Nick's on here. What's up, Nick? He's saying 100%, hopefully to what I just said. Rochelle's saying, I was so lucky to have grown up alongside you. It's my sister, by the way. You've always been one of the best humans I've known. Thank you, Rochelle. And right back at you. We're very lucky to have each other. Very, very lucky. And Brody, thanks for the love. Okay, so I'm going to get into quite a bit more of this, and then we're going to start the conversation with you guys as well as address some of the questions. I'm going to tell you how it helped me, these things that I'm talking about, overcome some challenges in my life growing up. So with personal responsibility, it hurt, right? My dad forced me. He really drove it home that it was my fault, right? Things were my fault. And I had to take, most likely, because I was a child, obviously experiencing this, my dad looked at me and thought, man, this guy is just simply not taking responsibility for his actions. And so it just made everything my fault is what it seemed like. Could be wrong, but he definitely held me accountable. A lot of people are missing that, whether it's your coworkers, your family, your kids, partners, whoever, friends, it doesn't matter. Too many people are too scared to hold people accountable. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're doing them zero favors. All you're doing is sparing your own feelings because you're too afraid to hurt theirs, not because they'll hurt, but because you're scared of how you'll feel when they're hurting because you'll take it personal. And that's just pathetic to not help somebody out in that way. Okay. Christy said only badass kids escape kindergarten. I did. I ran home for sure. So here we're going to talk about some of the things, like I said, that help me in this aspect. So things like, as embarrassing as it is, writing something over and over. If you guys haven't heard the story, I had to write, I think it was like 500 or 5,000 times. It was like 2 or 3 books, double pages, front and back. I had to write, I am not a clown. And I actually want to get it tattooed on me. I always forget. But I want to get that tattooed on me because it reminds me to take responsibility. And he made me write on these pads of paper, I'm not a clown, which is ironic. Joke's on you, Dad. I am a clown, but thanks for the lessons, no doubt. So one of the reasons why I wanted to share these stories is because hopefully some of it resonates with you guys, but we're going to kind of jump and fast forward to adulthood. Because growing up in a super, let's say, tough conditions, like a father's abandoned you, plenty of negative things in my environment. With all respects to my parents, I love them dearly, and they're wonderful. They're the best parents a guy could ever ask for, but life wasn't always pretty. Pointing out that I had the stepfather that was willing to, I always say this all the time, hurt my feelings as long as it was the right thing to do to teach me a lesson. A lot of parents are too afraid to do that, and I genuinely thank him for that now. So a little tip to you parents out there, scared to hurt your kids' feelings. I promise you one day, if it's the right thing for you to do, they will thank you. They will absolutely thank you. You're not protecting them by protecting their feelings. I promise you. And I say that loosely, but you understand what I'm saying in this context. So, skipping forward to an adult, I found myself very early on getting very angry at a very young age. Pretty typical, angry sort of youth. And then as I became an adult, I tried to do everything the right way, at least how I saw it fit. Tried going to a tattoo shop, asking for an apprenticeship because that's the right way to do it. Try to get a job, work 9 to 5, make money. That's how you're supposed to do it. Get an apartment, get a car, get insurance, get all these things. And man, it was just such shit. It was such shit. I felt bad for all my friends who didn't quit high school like me and started way later, but I was starting very early by 16, 17 years old. So I'm thankful for that. Um, but what I'm illustrating now is that now in my mid 20s, 25 years old, I got to the point where I was getting out of shape. I was miserable. I'd had kids and I'd loved them dearly. I wanted to start a family, but I made really bad choices. And they led me to anything. I mean, just I could go on and on, but anything from just really feeling like a complete failure to, losing custody of my kids at one point, and life really just turning to shit. Me contemplating whether or not like I'm going to make it and how this is going to look for them, and it was just a really dark time around 25 to 26 years old, 24 to 25, I should say, because we're real little, and I just wanted better for them, and that really made me look in the mirror. So hence, personal growth. You want to talk about personal growth. Nothing will make you grow, like I said in the beginning, more than assuming more responsibility. See, whether you're teaching somebody this or being taught this or you need to learn it, a lot of people think less responsibility is going to help somebody, but I can tell you now that more responsibility usually is the answer, not less. Say if somebody's overwhelmed, they're only overwhelmed because the responsibilities they have aren't compelling enough for them to want to overcome the overwhelm. And most people, I think, don't have enough responsibilities, especially these kids today. Everybody complains about them, but they don't do anything for them. They need more responsibilities. That's the truth. Make them feel part of something. So now I'm 25 years old, and I remember sitting in my house. I'll never forget this. It was one of the most transformative moments in my life. I'm sitting there and I'm over it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of my bank account going to zero. I'm sick of having a beer belly and being lazy. I'm sick of drinking all the time with my friends on the weekends while they're partying, and I'm just trying to make it. I'm trying to figure this out. I was at the time, let's say, I was working super, super hard in construction work here in the valley. So terrible. Anybody working in construction in this valley, my hat's off to you and always will be, because these dudes really kill themselves out there. And doing that and then coming home trying to tattoo at the time, there was times where I had to literally tattoo and tape my machine to my hand because I couldn't hold on to it, just to make that extra dollar so I had something at the end of the month, which I usually didn't. I remember one time I got you guys remember the Obama stimulus checks or whatever they called it. They sent me like $600 or $700. I think everybody got it. And I remember thinking that was so much money, 2007, 2008, whatever it was. And it was like, oh my God, this is so much money. It was gone instantly. I had bills to pay and it was just gone. I was like, man, this is never going to work for me. Completely, to the point to where I was so desperate that I was willing to do anything, literally anything. And I contemplated everything, by the way. But what I did was the next day I went to a library, and I remember thinking, I love thrift stores. And it was a thrift store over on Shields and Maroa by some train tracks. And I went into this thrift store, and I remember thinking, I always walk through the whole thrift store and check out everything, except for I always skip the book section in this bottom far right corner. Sorry. So the far corner of the store, I would go in there and always skip the book section when I got to it. And this time I thought, well, maybe if I want change in life, I shouldn't do that, right? So let's maybe not do that this time. So I went into the book, or to the thrift store, went to the book section. I remember thinking, let's see, maybe there's something here. I don't know. I'm desperate. I'm willing to do anything. And I picked up a book. And by the way, Shelly, since you're watching, I actually lent you this book once. I think you might still have it, which is still super cool. I bought a used book called Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. Really, really, really transformative moment. So I get home. And I start reading this book, and I just think, like, dude, time to commit to something. Take this book. You just bought it. It was like $1, whatever. Let's get home. Let's read it. It was thick. It was insane. It's so much information in it, and I was hooked really quickly. Thank goodness. I started learning so much so quick, it seemed like in this book, that it was like a whirlwind. I felt like my bones rattling, and I knew that I'd never be the same again. As crazy as that sounds, I cannot stress it enough that in this moment at 25, being so desperate, I got to the point where I was so unhappy with the way I was that I took this book and I fucking soaked it in. I didn't stop reading. I read that book until it was over, and it took a couple of days because I wasn't the best reader. Rochelle's saying, yes, she still does have it, so that's awesome. Don't lose that book. So my point is, I learned so much in this book so quickly that I remember thinking, if I just do these things, these are all new to me. All these business ideas, personal development ideas, physical fitness ideas, things that by the way, guys, this is like sort of pre-YouTube internet sort of time in my life. Well, I'd never had the internet up to this point. I'd never looked on the internet up to this point. So I didn't really know, how to get this information previous to this. Now you just YouTube it and you learn all this dreamy shit and write fucking schedules down and live your best life ever. Kumbaya and whatever that shit is. Do your journaling and your yoga poses. Just poking a little bit of fun. But my point is that in this book, I learned so much. And here's the thing I did. Letitia is on here. She's asking Unlimited Power. Yes, that is the book by Anthony Robbins. So Rochelle's asking, would you like me to bring it to you? You should bring it. You absolutely should. So I did let my sister borrow it at one point in time. So she still has it. Thank goodness. So here's where it really changed. I read the book. I just did something definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over, expecting the new result. I actually think the definition of insanity is better explained by doing the same thing over and over and over with zero reward. That, I think, is the definition of insanity. It's just terrible. So I just decided to read this book. I sat down, and here's what I did. In this book, it had mentioned something I'd heard about before, which is called meditation. And I just thought, I'm so fucking desperate. I'm just going to do it. It kind of talked about how to, set up the time, don't be tired when you do it, and had all the details of like how to do it right. It wasn't too complicated. It was actually pretty easy. And let me tell you, that was a really appropriate sound effect. I sat down. I did everything the book told me to do. And I remember for the very first time I got the room ready, got the lights low. I wasn't tired. I was well awake. I was by myself. It was nice and quiet. I sat down, and I remember sitting in the middle of my living room at the time, right by my steps. And it can kind of give you this box breathing technique, I believe it was at the time, something like that. So I started this breathing technique, and I remember just going, which, since I'm telling you guys a story, you should all do it with me right now because I'm going to do it again. It's one of my favorite things to do. You've seen me do it here before. So we're going to do this all together. You guys ready? I just saw a couple of you guys not do it. So ladies and gentlemen, please do this with me. We'll do it one more time so we can get started and get on with the show. You ready? All of us together. You can't skip this. Ready? If you didn't do it, you're missing out and you're an idiot. Here's what I learned. Just by doing that right now, right? If you guys did it with me, and you should have, you feel different. You instantly feel different, especially if you did it right and you took a real nice deep breath and let it exhale. Nice relaxation. I remember doing that for the very first time at 25 years old after reading this book, and I started getting so giggly, almost uncontrollably, because I realized my whole life I'd never, ever took an intentional breath, ever. And all I wanted was some change. I just wanted something. I was so desperate to change. My life was not what I wanted it to be. I took this book, went out on a limb, read it, got real into it real quick, almost like a little bit of gold shining in the darkness. And I sat there in my living room that morning and took these breaths and started realizing, like, oh my God, I could just always do this. I could do this forever. This is free. I've always been able to do this. And so now I do it all the time. You guys have seen me do it on the show before because it's transformative to intentionally breathe. And I think at that moment what happened was I knew I'd been missing something my whole life. And what it was lots of little things like this that probably exist out there somewhere in the ether that I can find. These little things that I can do, just tiny shifts. And that started me on my journey, my personal development journey. I started journaling, not because I think necessarily journaling is like a reflective thing, like in the moment, but because later on I wanted to measure where I was mentally. And I can tell you right now with my journal entries that I am nowhere near where I was at 25 for sure. And I knew in that very moment, which is, Rochelle, why I gave you the book to borrow, to use, to keep as a gift, whatever. I would like to read it again, but I think I got what I needed out of it. So thank you, Anthony Robbins. And what had happened is it set me on a journey to finding out what the next things were. with excitement, right? With fervor, if you will, to set out and find the things in my life that I didn't know I needed, that I have to find and stumble across, the metaphorical thrift store I have to walk through into the sections I'd never seen before to find, so bumps and bruises and mistakes and some wasted money. Some, people say, well, how do you know what's the right stuff? You don't, but you got to go look and you got to go test and you got to go try it out. And there you go. That's what I did. So I'm going to kind of skip forward again a little bit now. 25 years old, I read my first book. From then on out, I've read hundreds and hundreds of books, probably close to thousands at this point, and I'll continue to do so. I'm really into audiobooks now, so I kind of skipped the speed of just sitting and reading. I really enjoy audiobooks, especially with business topics, because they're easy for me to follow. So anyway, of course, there were setbacks. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a bumpless road. By the way, Lena, thanks for being on here. Just want to mention that. It wasn't without its setbacks. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but it was forward. And really quickly, I discovered myself again with physical fitness and health. I started running. I didn't care if it was hot or cold. I was just tired of being, weak and soft. So I just started running. I didn't care if it was winter and raining. I didn't care. Oftentimes I got home because I was soaked in the rain, and oftentimes I got home because I was soaked from the sun, and I would just be dripping sweat. And you want transformation? Do these things. Do these things, and you will find them. You can never be the same if you do some of these things that we're going to talk about in this episode, like the ones previously mentioned. So continuous learning, right? Just continual learning. I remember this. One of the things about the book that was so good is there's so much in it, so much gold. And my dad had told me when I was a kid, he said, if you turn your car into a classroom, and I don't know exactly where he got this, but he told me if you turn your car into a classroom, the average American spends up to 7 years sitting in their car of their life. So if you turn your car into a classroom, you have a doctorate in whatever it is you study. So that's what I did. I turned my car into a classroom after that. I started listening to things. One of the most transformative things I ever listened to up to that point, YouTube became a thing at this point in my life. And I remember listening to Jim Rohn, and he has a series on YouTube you can listen to. This is way before YouTube, but had been uploaded at this point to YouTube. So I think this is like from the 70s or 80s. But it's called The Best Life Ever. Maybe How to Live the Best Life Ever. On YouTube, usually it's a 4-part series because it's like 4 hours. And I was addicted to listening to this because I heard concepts like, right, everybody's running off the same wind. The trick is to set the sail to get to the destination, right? Everybody has the same wind. We're all running off this. Every one of us has the same 24 hours. Every one of us gets to live and die. Every one of us has 2 parents. Every single one of us has to work. We have to eat. We have to sleep. We need shelter. We need friends. We need family. We need to develop. We start from 0. We go to 0. But in the meantime, hopefully make the best of it. All of us are running off the same wind. And so philosophies like this helped me along the way. So I started reading. I started, like I said before, listening to these shows online. YouTube was tremendous. I still use it for this reason today. I don't get too lost in the weeds of watching shows, and I don't watch any TV. Personal growth hack. Stop watching the shit they're feeding you if you guys don't want to be idiots. You want your life to be better. If you're finding yourself failing at anything, it might very well be linked to the shit you're ingesting mentally. So there you go. Letitia is saying, I'm always looking for book recommendations focusing on mindset and overall betterment. That's good because there's a lot of them. We can go over some of them here in a little bit if you remind me. So we'll talk about books. Hopefully we get to that. So here's what I want to share with you guys too. Now fast forward into, let's say today, right? Life is a fucking roller coaster for us all, right? People are going to die. Things are going to leave us. We're going to lose things we wanted. Things aren't going to go our way. We're going to have setbacks. We're going to have health setbacks. We might not even make it. A lot of us aren't even here today. It sounds weird to say, but a lot of us are not here today to be able to keep working on ourselves. So take this as a complete gift every day after this very moment. Every single second you have is an absolute gift, and treat it like that. So as I started to progress in my personal development journey, we'll kind of get pretty quickly from this part of the story up to now. All I did was looked for hard shit to do. Right, I started cycling. I'd cycled for hundreds of miles in a day. I went for a month-long cycling trip. I went through from Portland, Oregon to San Francisco, just to find out what was in it, right? What was hard in it. I went to the top of mountains. I did backpacking, hiking, cross-country stuff, no trails, no maps, cold winter, all kinds of things. Winter plunges, swimming in rivers, ice-cold rivers with glaciers floating amongst them. Anything from that to learning how to make more money, working on my skills, just always finding the next little thing. So I'm going to fast forward a lot from that moment at 25 reading that book till I think 30, 31 years old. At this point, the internet was a thing and a printer was a thing, and I had it, and the computer was like this big. The monitor was, and the computer was even bigger. 2009 ish at this point. My kids are quite little, but it was so cool, and I loved being a dad. My life was awesome. And I want to tell you guys this quick little point of the story here. I remember doing this tattoo. It was the first time I used a printer. So I had to figure the tech out, right? It was a fucking headache because I wasn't a tech guy ever. So I figured out a printer. I figured out a computer. Pretty basic stuff now. Like if you guys see my setup, like if you see all this stuff, like I understand printers now. I understand tech. But there was a point where I felt like a caveman just doing this, trying to figure it out. I mean, I literally had no idea about any of this shit, and it was a lot to learn, right? I wasn't raised learning this stuff. So my point is, I'm 30, 31 years old. I sit down at my dinner table after doing a really cool tattoo I used a printer for the first time. And I poured my heart and soul into this tattoo, right? I always tell myself, look, you could just get through this and make the money, or you can slow the fuck down. Like I tell everybody in my shop today, my apprentices and artists, slow down and do just a little better. And if you really slow down, you might be able to do a lot better. So I'd always give myself that room. So I take a picture with a digital camera with a memory card I had to take out and put in the computer to see. And I'm sitting there letting it upload. It took like 3 hours for me to get the thing on my damn computer. Here's what happened. I sat down. I looked at the picture. Dinner's getting ready. The kids, I think, were put in bed at this point. It's like 11 o'clock at night. It was a long day, exciting day. I'm sitting at my computer in my living room, in my kitchen, actually. And I'm looking at this monitor, and I see the picture that was developed of the tattoo I had just done. You know, and mind you, when you're looking at art or creating something, you got to look at it with fresh eyes later to be able to understand what it is, because you kind of get lost in it mentally. So much focus kind of drowns out what you're actually looking at, if you guys know what I mean. Basically, you had to see it with fresh eyes to really get the impact. So here it is 3 hours later. I see this picture pop up on my computer. I'm having dinner, and this message, this bone-chilling message came over me like clear as day, right? And for the sake of this conversation, I'll say it's God. God was speaking to me. I looked at this image and I thought, if I like it was transformative, just like reading that book when I was 25. So here I am, 30 years old. I'm looking at this image and I'm thinking, and I'm hearing this message saying, if you just keep doing what you've been doing, Josh, these little stacks, these little wins, these little micro adjustments, just like learning how to breathe for the first time, to eventually all these other skills you've stacked over time that's led you to this moment of this thing you can now create. I remember looking at this tattoo thinking, wow, I am like a billion times. I'm infinitely better than I ever expected to be as a tattoo artist. And I'm looking at it and I remember thinking, I can buy anything. I can go anywhere. I can have whatever I want. I can give my kids, who are at this time 2, 3 years old, 4 years old, I can give my kids anything, right? I can give my family, I can give my old lady, I could give everybody, my dog. I could take my dog with me because I'll have a big enough car and we can afford it and pay a pet deposit. And it just transformed everything. I remember thinking, like hearing the message that you can have it all if you just keep doing this. You can have the things you want. You really can. Yes, you can't have them tomorrow and you can't have them now. But as long as you just are making progress, which I had done over the last couple of years at this point, you can just keep going and you will win. And to this day, now it's been almost exactly 10 years. And I can tell you right now, it's paid off tremendously. Of course, I'm skipping over a lot, but doing hard things is where the gold is. Doing things that stretch you, that push you, that give you the bumps and the bruises. Life isn't meant to be sat on the sidelines, right? If you look at a football stadium, how many people are in the stands and how many people are on the field? You got to ask yourself who you want to be. And by the way, if you want to be in the stands, that's great. Plenty of room for spectators. Matter of fact, most of you will be. That's just the reality of it. So I'm not bashing you, but I'm saying for the people out there that want to be the player in the field, right? And to be honest and to be fair, maybe we bounce in and out of being on the field and being in the stands. Maybe it's not just a continuous position for most people, but for me, I have zero interest in being in the stands. I don't want to be in the stands unless I'm watching my nieces and nephews or kids or somebody playing and sitting at a park, talking to my family, hanging out. If it's not that, I just don't want to be the spectator. It's not me, never been me. It's just my jam. So I want to say that once you go down this path, here's the best part. Isn't what you get, isn't what you learn. It's not your personal development that matters so fucking much. It's your personal development that leads you to the person that you're going to become so that other people benefit from it. And now you can teach it and give it back. That's the whole point of it. That's why I wanted to make this episode tonight. It's because it's not about me, although I used my story as an example. It's not about you, although you can use your story as an example. And we're all still working on our story, right? We're still writing our book of life. We have the pen, take the paper, and you fucking write the stories. If you don't like the way it's coming out, stop writing the story. Stop writing it the way you don't like it to come out. And it's not for you. I remind myself this all the time. People always ask me, like, what's something you do every day that helps you become the person you want to be? Because I get to do what I want. That's the cool thing in my life that I get to do is I get to do what I want. I wake up, I decide, right? Nobody's asking me to get better at tattooing. I mean, people are. They don't ask me to get better, but they want me to get better. Nobody's asking me to get better. Nobody's asking me to get stronger. Nobody's asking me to go to the gym. Nobody's told me to lift more weights. Nobody's told me to be a better parent. Nobody's telling me to do any of this. I'm doing these things. But the trick is not because I get something out of it, although I have to get something out of it for it to matter, because then I can give it back. You cannot give away something you don't yourself possess. That's the whole point. When you start to motivate people, change people's lives, really not just because of your friend and they love you and you guys shared ice cream together over a romantic movie and cried over an ex or something. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is when somebody comes up to you and says, thank you. I was ready to off it. I was ready to end my life tonight. And thank you. Thank you for saying what you did and doing what you do or being available the way you are. Or people coming up to me and saying, like, I wouldn't be where I am without you. That sounds super cheesy, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it makes life fucking worth it. And then that is when I believe you start to become unstoppable, truly. Because now, like I say it a lot, you guys have heard me say this. You're gonna have to kill me to stop me. I'm gonna win. That's just the way it is. I'm already winning, and it's awesome. And I thank you guys for it. I want to take you on my journey with me, and I appreciate it, of course. And the idea is to become something so you can give it back. That's the whole point. That's why it's so important. It's not just about you feeling good and having the journals and the yoga and the cool stuff and, the good body and the money and the friends and the fame or fortune, whatever it is. Although those things are awesome and you should get them if you want them. It's really just truly because you can give it back. And that is the most wonderful experience I think a human can ever have. If you're a parent, you already know this. If you're a parent, if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, if you're a grandparent, you probably know it more than I even do. But that's my point. In conclusion, being able to inspire others, being able to help others with their personal development journey, and not just because you're like, oh, you should journal. Like, what the fuck? That didn't help anybody to tell them that. You actually get the results from people or for people when you can see somebody losing weight, getting fit, making more money, being more positive, developing as a human because of your interaction with them. That is remarkable. And not everybody's going to walk down that path. You can't save everybody. That's not the point. But you're here just like somebody was here for you. Unlimited power was there for me. My father was there for me. My family is there for me. My sister is there for me. I got things over time, the things that were there for me to help me along my journey. You guys get to do that too, right? The more you develop, the more you can give back. That's the moral of the story. So in summary, the idea is to do hard things so you can become more, and become more so you can give more. And when you give more, I think that's really, truly the circle of life in that sense. So I hope you guys got a lot out of that. I'd like to get the Q&A part. Man, that was actually quite long-winded. Sorry, I told you it'd be about 20, 30 minutes. It was probably like 40. But I'm glad you guys are still with me, so I appreciate you. We should get into the comments section with all of that said. There's a lot of questions that have been submitted tonight, so I'm really excited to get to those. If I missed anything you guys typed or I didn't see it, please feel free to retype. I wasn't necessarily reading all of it while I was speaking. So thank you guys. Okay. Dambria says, definitely loving this episode. You know what, Dambria? Thank you so very much. That's right. That was a long clap. I'm reading the rest of these comments, trying to keep up with you guys. Amen. Thank you, Amanda. And thanks for being on here, Amanda. I appreciate you. Thank you. Brody says, I know because of you, I'm a million times better person. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. It means a lot to me. Wendy's saying paying it forward with life experience. There you go. Because how else could you? Because that's the thing, guys. Everybody wants to give back to somebody or say as they do, or they like to be inspiring, like to help people, and they like to make them feel good. Man, unless it's results based, I think a lot of people just need to honestly put their head down, get to work, develop a little more before they start giving it back. If you don't have something somebody else, you know, I don't want to say it that way, but I look at it this way for me personally. You guys choose to do it your way. I look at it as the things in which I admire, I want to aspire to be, right? And if somebody else does the same in regards to me, meaning they aspire to have the things I want or that I have and that I've accomplished, I'm going to give that back and I'm going to teach and I'm going to share. Curtis is on here. What's up, Curtis? Good to see you. He's saying positive influence, pulling someone up is the ultimate fulfillment. 100%. That is the truth. Curtis, thanks for being on here and thanks for saying that. That's why me and you get along so well. He's saying, I'm going to read it again. Positive influence, pulling someone up is the ultimate fulfillment. So to be a positive, to my point, to be a positive influence, to pull somebody up and and to receive that ultimate fulfillment, you have to become something. And in the meantime, guys, I'm telling you the truth. I don't care if you're 10, 20, 40, 50, 100. It doesn't matter. Start your journey. If you know you're behind and there's things you should have been doing look, we're all in a different place, right? Like I feel like there's people light years ahead of me. And I think, gosh, I really need to get on it. And I've said that to people before and they tell me like, dude, if you're slacking, Josh, then what does that say about me? I'm like, well, fuck, that's just my standard, right? So it just shows you that somebody else's standard allows them to be and tolerate what it is, the results they're getting. If you don't want that, you got to do that. You got to watch the last 50 minutes and go through it again and get your notebook out and start some actions and take some fucking deep breaths. So Curtis, thanks for being on here. Rochelle says, I will always be here for you. I'm guessing you're talking to me. Sorry, I'm kind of weird timing scrolling through. I think I caught up. But thanks for being on here, guys, and for being in the comments section. She says, I am lucky that you have always been there for me too, and vice versa, sis. It's been awesome. It's really, really cool. If it makes me feel really bad, hurt some hearts out here tonight, but I feel really bad for people who don't have those connections with people, especially family, people you would die for and do anything for, because it's a remarkable experience. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we're going to get to some of the comments, okay? If you guys want to ask comments in the comment section, we can do that, and I'll do my best to pay attention to all of them. So here we go. Can you name one thing that you like best about each of your apprenticeship's talents? Name one thing you like best about each of your apprenticeship's talents. What's interesting is I try not to give any credit to people's talents. Talents are something you're born with. So I look at it as just something you don't get credit for. It's kind of like when you're a dad or a mom. You don't get credit for food on the table, clothes on the back, and shelter and roof over their head. You don't get credit for those are the basics. You don't get credit for that. Again, one of my dad's lifelong lessons was you don't get credit for 100%. That's your job. You get credit when it starts at 101%, 110%. So I think the answer to this question is the one thing that you like best about each of your apprenticeship's talents is that they're not wasting it. That's what I like about it. Other than that, I don't give credit, even to my own children. You know, my daughter man, she's so good at so many things. And sure, I give her credit where credit's due. But when it comes to her talents, I try not to praise them too much because I just think it's inappropriate. I would rather praise her for the hard work thing that she does towards the things she's not so strong at. I think that's important. Okay, let's see here. So next question, do you seek first to understand, then to be understood? Do you seek first to understand, then to be understood? That's an interesting question. I would say that to me, it sounds obvious. You have to first understand something before you can be understood, right? If you don't understand it, nobody's going to understand you. So I don't know how else to answer that, but I do have a lot of questions that came in, so we're going to try to get to them all. Looks like Barkus is on here. Barkus, what's up? Good to see you. Please tell me you're coming to the paint night for Valentine's, the Valentine's extravaganza. We know there's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be a lot of fun, but you should definitely be there. Yes, sis, totally agree. Okay, let's get to the next question. What would you consider habits of highly effective people? Cool. So we went over that a lot in this last 30 minutes, but I'll kind of highlight it again, maybe a little differently. What would you consider habits of highly effective people? So effective people. Everything's their fault. If they're effective, everything's their fault. They lead from the front and the back. They pay attention to their flock. Habits of highly effective people. They write things down because you can't account in your head. It's impossible. You need to write things down. You need to have journals. You need to get it out. You need to have anything from what is it called where you get all together? Mastermind groups to, I'm forgetting the words, where like you sit around and you just come up with a bunch of ideas and do like a brainstorming group. You need to get your brain out, however you see fit. By the way, this is how I do it. It's through YouTube and through these long, drawn out, arduous videos that you guys love so much.
You are fake news.
Barca says she'll be there, so cool. I'm gonna hold you to it. But by the way, we'll get to it in a little bit. Some of the news. Tickets will be available online. I think they already are. I don't know who has anybody bought tickets online. If not, maybe tonight we will, because I believe they are available. Okay. So habits of highly effective people. They stay physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally fit. The only way to do that is to do hard things. You have to pick up heavy weights. So how do you get spiritually fit? You have to pick up heavy weights, which means you're going to have to actually consume some things that maybe you don't like, information-wise and philosophy. It's going to rub you wrong. You're not going to like it, but it's new to you, and that's the only reason why it feels heavy. Physical weight, running, your own body weight, plyometrics, whatever it is. Physically, you got to take care of yourself. Financially, stop spending on things you don't need. If there's other things you do need that you should be spending on that are more important, otherwise you don't have your finances in order, you don't have your discipline in order. So fix those things. Those are habits of highly effective people. Another habit of a highly effective person, since that's a question, I would say is somebody who communicates really clear. If you guys want to get really good at life, communicate better. Communicate a lot better. Leave out the fluff. Stop watching TV and stop telling me about what you watched on TV, and you will find your life much more valuable. Okay. Next question. By the way, question asker, thanks for so many. Appreciate it. You know who you are. What are your work standards? What are my work standards? I don't know how to answer that. Curtis, if you're still on here, you should join in with me and give me some help here, or somebody if you guys want to join in. What are my work standards? A lot. I mean, simple stuff, right? Like be on time, keep your word, simple stuff like that, and work hard and work smart. Don't do one or the other, do both. So those are my work standards, I guess. If you guys want to chime in on that, would be cool to hear. Okay, next question. Do you ever play favorites? Yeah, of course. I'm a human. So, of course, I'm going to have my favorites and I'm going to play it because it's not really something I can avoid, but it usually does not do me well. Playing favorites does not. Oh, man. It usually hurts both parties, so I try not to. Some of the reasons, time to time, unfortunately, it's not always one or the other person's fault, but there's been people in my life that I've had to cut out of my life, whether it's firing them or just ignoring them. Because of that. So that I have to say that yes, people play favorites. I think maybe we all do. At least I hope so, because I don't want to be the only one. Okay. Curtis says, I'm impressed with your mindset coaching. You're getting me fired up. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I'm glad to hear you say that. Curtis, I'm really excited to start working with you on some of this stuff too. Curtis is actually a lot like me in the sense that he likes to share, he likes to coach, he likes to teach, he likes to train people, he likes success, he wants to see people do well. And one of the things me and him totally agree on is one, that money matters, family matters, and physical fitness absolutely matter. And that's what we fucking talk about all the time. Really, anything else is not interesting. So he's going to be working on some digital things for you guys to consume as well in the future. You'll find out. You'll see. We'll work on it together. Okay, here's a good one. How do you maintain and develop direction, structure? How do you facilitate goals and accomplishment? There's a lot in there, so I'm going to generalize that. How do I maintain direction and structure and reach my goals? Intentionality, just being intentional. And like I said, if I were to ask you guys right now to tell me this month, which it's halfway over. We're halfway into it. We got half of it left. If this month you had to account for every single penny that you've spent, right? Every single dime, every single dollar, without any accounting software, without any tools, just in your head, would you bet your life on the fact that you could tell me for sure how much you've spent, where it's been spent, to the dollar, even much less to the penny? Of course not. None of us could without tools. Your mind is a lot like that. You got to get it out, and you got to use tools to be able to hold on to it, to see it, and to quantify it, right? Which is why free speech is so important. Just tying it into some political shit that's been going on lately with trying to block my flags on Instagram, you sons of bastards. So yeah, that's it. You got to inventory. You got to get out of your head. So I really think that to facilitate anything like development or having direction or structure in your life, you cannot have it in here. It needs to come out. It has to get out. So write it down, get a whiteboard, get like fucking paint your wall white and draw on that shit. Like do whatever, get rid of your couch, break your fucking TV tonight, do whatever you have to do. I think that's what's important. Okay, let's get to the next one. What's your best collaboration and teamwork you have had or ever done? Oh man, I couldn't answer that. I don't know. I've done so many things. What's your best collaboration and teamwork you have done? My kids, my children. That's my best collaboration work right there. Those fucking things are those little bastards. They're so wonderful. I love them to death. So, children, if you're out there, if you're ever watching this, just know Baba loves you, and they're just wonderful. God, I could talk about that all night. They're the best. So I'm very blessed man. Okay, next one. Why is seeking and understanding your customers so important? This is good business. This is a good business question. Actually, I just talked a little bit about business with this person fairly recently. Why is seeking and understanding your customers so important? Why is seeking and understanding your customers? It's kind of two questions. Why is seeking your customers so important? Let's skip that and just say, why is understanding your customers so important? Well, because if you don't understand your customers, then how could you possibly serve them correctly? And if you're just trying to sell them things because you're trying to make money and not trying to sell them things that they actually need, meaning, are you actually solving a problem they have, or are you trying to give them something that makes your problems, better or worse? Because I think that that's lame. I think that it's more important to solve people's problems. If you do that enough times, I promise you, your life will fucking change. Solve people's problems. Stop trying to make a bunch of money. I shouldn't say it that way. Curtis will be pissed I just said that. Stop trying to make money without solving people's problems. There you go. That's the best way I could put it. Oh, Rochelle's agreeing. That's awesome. Natalie, of course, always thank you for the flags. Flags, I dare you. Curtis says, I raise my goals long before I get there. I've learned to love the journey far more than reaching the destination. Therefore, I rarely reach my goals. That's a good one because I think a lot of people think of goals as something they want. They want to get there. They want to be there. That's the thing. That getting there is the answer. That's life's, ticket, and it isn't. A goal is just to orient where you're trying to go. It's like using the stars to navigate the ocean. You're not getting to the star, but you're using it to get somewhere further and hopefully correctly and orient yourself appropriately to get to the destination you've set out to. And so that's what goals should be for. A lot of people think goals are to reach. I don't agree. I think goals are to orient yourself in a direction, right? Rochelle saying, you have to know your target audience in order to best serve them. You're right, 100%. You got to know who you're working with and what problem you're trying to solve. Otherwise, you're really just pissing in the wind. Okay, let's see. Let's get to some more. If you guys have questions, if you guys have any questions, just shoot them right here in the comment section. I love them. And we've already been going for an hour, so we got a little bit more time left. We got a good night ahead of us. So, of course, thanks for being here. It's been awesome. And since it's been so awesome, you know that I have to shout out to Linda. Linda, if you're out there, if you're listening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just know you are definitely my favorite. So, Linda, thank you for being you. Okay, if you guys don't know who Linda is, then I can't help you. Here's a really good question, also coming from Facebook. What are some key actions for innovation and creativity? Some key actions for innovation and creativity. So what are some ways to be more innovative and creative? Silence and solitude. That's my answer. That is 100% my answer. That's why I have this building that I'm in right now. That's why I can sit here and do the things I do because I have that solitude. I've always needed it and I've always wanted it. I've never had to force it. I've actually had to do the opposite, force myself out of it. So I'm lucky for that, but to each their own. Okay, let's see. Don't waste time. That's 100% right, Rochelle. Curtis says, I'm impressed with your mindset coaching. You're getting me fired up. I'm behind here. Let me, I'll read that twice though. That's cool. I'm going to scroll forward here. Sense with Steph, thanks for being on here. She's saying self-discipline. Hoorah for that. Okay. I must have scrolled on accident quite a bit. Keep your people happy. Okay, so I didn't miss anything. I don't know why the comments just super boosted up. By the way, you guys are obviously really paying attention really well because we have 120 comments. We have 18, almost 20 people, 19 now watching, and we only have 9 thumbs ups. We only have a couple of hearts. You guys should send those now. Let's get some of those thumbs up going. Let's get some of those hearts going. Give us some love, if you will, right? Get in the comment section, get in the emoji section, and let me go ahead and do this for you just to remind you. There you go. Let's do that right there. Let's go. So do your thing. Don't be shy. Don't be shy at all. There we go. All right. So let's get to the next question. You guys, by the way, jump in the comment section, ask your questions. If you have any input or if you just want to get spicy amongst yourselves, do your thing. So what are some key actions? I asked that one. What is your approach on talent development? So this is kind of like the question we answered earlier. My approach on talent development, there is no such thing. Talent you're born with, right? Some people are just really good at certain things. I was born with a talent to be really, really creative, right? Very insightful. That is not something I developed. I've always had it. It's never gotten better. It's never gotten worse until I get old and senile. But talent does not get developed, in my opinion. I think skills get developed to support the talent. So maybe that's the best way I can answer that. Okay. What are some examples of your mentoring, empowering, facilitating, and teaching? Man, these are good questions, but there's a lot in them. What are some examples of how you empower and facilitate and teach? Some examples. Just be real, be honest, be straightforward, be blunt as possible, and be bold. That's the best way to teach is be bold. Just tell people straight up. I know it's hard for people because I say this a lot. When it comes to money, if you're poor, just say it. Write it on your fridge. Tell your friends. Say it. Just don't stop playing the part. Be real. Or if you don't want to tell the public, and maybe you don't have to, but tell somebody, right? Say it so you can see it. Get it out of your head, get it on paper, put it on your fridge, and look at it. So I did this years ago. It was probably 10, 15 years ago. I wrote down how much money I had. I wrote how much I weighed. And I wrote, what else did I write? I wrote how much money I had, how much I weighed. I don't remember what else I wrote. Something else I measured. I can't remember what it was, but I put it on my fridge and I looked at it, and it didn't take me more than like a couple of minutes to realize, fuck this. I'm going to fix this shit. I'm going to change it. So then I started writing down things I wanted, right? I wrote down first what I had, hated it. I was like, okay, let's do something about it. So then I wrote down things I wanted and I got to work, and that's just the truth. That's exactly what I did. So that's how I empower people and facilitate teaching, is just be the example. That's really it. Okay, let me see here. So next question what are your core values? That's a very good question too. Before I answer that, it looks like we got a super chat. What is up, Rochelle? Hell yeah. Curtis, you're still watching. Now you know what it looks like. Hopefully you see it on your end. That's right. Let's get loud. Hell yeah. That super chat though.
That's why I managed to stay single this whole time, you know?
There we go. I'm just going to bring it up one more time. And she said, love you. Fucking love you too. And I appreciate your guys' support. You guys always know I appreciate your support. Christy, just to brag a little, just so you know, I'm going to frame this. I'm never spending this. So we're just going to hang on to that. Thanks for your support. Okay. This show is not possible without you because I would just be talking to myself and that would be weird. I'd probably still do it. I have done it, but it's definitely weird. Okay. Here's a question coming from Wendy. Wendy, thank you for asking. So how did you overcome the fears of going out exploring alone? Camping, hiking, road trips. What things did you pack for more security? Be packing. Oh, how do I answer that? Before I answer that, Wendy, Rochelle got me all twisted on the super chat. Thank you for that. I have to answer the previous question real quick, which was, and I actually have this written down because I share it with my team. What are my core values was a question a few minutes ago. Is to serve others, train daily, play fair, and leave your ego at home. Be the example that you want others to be. So that's it. Whatever you're trying to ask of somebody, be it first. Before you ever ask anything of anybody, make sure you have it first. So don't start asking something from somebody you yourself don't possess. That's not good. Don't do that. Okay, so there you go. Those are my core values. Serve others, train daily, play fair, and leave your ego at home. Okay, so let's get to this question, Wendy. She's saying, how did you overcome the fears of going out and exploring alone? Well, I'm 6'2", about 250, so that's one way I got over it real quick. I'm not too worried about it. Cycling on the side of a freeway, especially Highway 1 from Portland to San Francisco for a month is about 1,100 miles. Being on the side of the road on Highway 1, which is a tiny road sometimes, people were rude, man. They try to run you off the road. I've literally had people try to run me off the road, throw things at me, yell and scream, try to scare you, just freak you out, try to make you go off a cliff. Like it's insane. People are fucking terrible. So I would never recommend that to somebody, especially a woman doing it alone, ever. Never in a million years. I would not do that now. It's up to you, but I just would not. If my daughter was doing it, I'd want to go with her. I would follow her. I would not let that happen alone. People are terrible. So some of the things I did to get over my fears, well, I didn't have fears of it necessarily, of exploring alone. And if I did, it was just more enticing for me to want to do more of it. So she said, what things do you pack for more security? Well, if you have watched one of my hiking trips when I turned 40, I brought a sword and a kilt, and that was my security. So that's it. Now, other than that, I won't share too much more with you on what my security looks like, but let's just say that if you want to protect yourself, you should probably keep the ability to protect yourself closer than you keep your phone. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Damber says, Rochelle's the MVP. You're not wrong. Okay. All right, so let's get to the next question. So we talked about the core values. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. If you guys are enjoying the show, let's see those hearts. Let's see those emojis. Send them on in. Okay, let's do this. Okay, here's a question. What leadership style works best for you? I didn't know there was styles of leadership. Maybe there are. I've never looked into it. But lead from the front, lead from the back, and protect your pack, right? If you're the wolf, you got to decide when to lead from the front and when to lead from the back. There's a time for both. And my leadership style is, it's all my fault. That's my leadership style. Whatever's not working is my fault, 100%. I do not blame other people, although I recognize other people's faults, and I try not to let them, definitely don't tolerate being stepped on. I'm nobody's doormat, but my leadership style is making sure that it's always my fault so that I can be in a position of power to making change, even if that means firing somebody. Okay. So my leadership style is, I guess that. It's like the wolf pack. There you go. What's up, Ian? Thanks for being on here. He says, I didn't get a notification. He's late. Hello, everyone. You guys can say hello to Ian. What is up, Ian? Good to see you. I didn't mean to hit that. Okay. Barkus is saying, Damien, my arm is looking amazing. I'm in love. Yeah, you guys should see what we just did on this girl. Super rad. You should definitely see it. Go to my Instagram, check it out. Okay. Damien saying, Ian, what's up? Sending you the love. Okay. All right, so let's get to the next question before you guys start sending a bunch of super chats and disrupting the whole night, showing your support for this lovely, lovely evening of artistic freedom. Episode 86, Joshua Farmer, Clovis, California. That's right, it's your boy. Let's do our thing. So next question, let's get to it. That one cut off, so I can't read that whole thing. Okay, let's skip that. What is your desired result in what you're doing? Maybe somebody's asking like, what is like an overall goal? That's what's your desired result in what you're doing? My desired result is just to keep growing, doing hard shit, never reaching my goals, because that would suck, because that just sounds weird. But my desired result is to do exactly what I've been saying all night, which is to learn the lessons, to get the bumps and bruises, to become the kind of man that I could admire the way I admired my father, and then giving him back to the world so that I could see this place be just slightly better, knowing that my kids are in it, knowing that my family and everybody I affect is just a little bit better. Because how cool would that be if we all made sure each other were just a little bit better? Even if it's just like today you did 10 push-ups. Today you said save $10 more than you usually do. Today you read an excerpt in the Bible or a paragraph in a book or wrote something down to, try to inventory your thoughts so you can get them out and actually, have it tangibly, able to be seen in a tangible way so you could do something towards it. That if we just all did that, couldn't even imagine it. Having some water tonight, if you guys didn't know. Okay. Here's an interesting question. You are incredible. There we go. So thank you. I appreciate that. Next one, again, not a question. Are you happy? Question mark. I've actually get asked this a lot. People ask me this all the time. Are you happy? So, am I happy? So, yes, I experience happiness, but am I happy? It's just not something important to me. I'll say it over and over and over. It's not important to me. Like right now, I don't feel happy, like joyful, like yay, but I feel good. I feel good. I feel on mission. I feel on point. I feel like I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. I get little wins every day. I'm getting, like, for example, yes. Am I happy? I'll just say yes, but I don't like the word because I feel like it's just a fleeting emotion. It's like I don't want to tie my life's meaning into a feeling of being happy. I'd rather tie it into the feeling of knowing that, not even the feeling, but just the fact, the data point of knowing I've been able to check off the list the things I've decided I want to do. That's way more important to me. And guess what happens when I do? Guess what happens? Lo and behold, when I do those things, oftentimes I feel joy, I feel happiness. So, am I happy? Am I a happy person? I don't know. I guess that's for you to judge, but that's not something that honestly is that important to me. It just isn't. One of the reasons I'm so okay with being bold and blunt about that, why it's not important to me, is I think too many people emphasize about it. They want to be happy. They feel happiness. They say they're happy, but they're out of shape. They're poor. They're broke. They're pissed off. They're angry. They're miserable. They're drunk all the time. They're hooked on substances. They're depressed. Okay, and then they hold happiness as like this metric that they could just easily say. It's kind of like being nice, and being nice is bullshit because anybody can be nice. Like Hitler could be nice, and he probably was to some people time to time. Not saying he's a good guy. I'm not vouching for him at all. That not at all is a good example, but people can fake being nice. Okay, doing things that are acts of kindness, way more important. Because even if you're a bad person, but you do acts of kindness, the world can maybe still be a slightly better place. But I just don't care. Happiness is just not that important to me. It never has been. But yes, I get a lot of it. It's kind of like money. Money itself isn't that important. It's really not. Money itself is just paper and fucking wipe your ass with it. What's important is solving people's problems, making a dent in the universe, and having something that other people, like you guys being here tonight, right? You're spending your time with me, which is worth way more than your money. Your time right now, which I don't want to discourage you from the super chats. That's totally fine. I love them. Actually, did I get it? Didn't mean to skip it. Christy, thank you so very much for sending that. And let's get a little bit of love in there. There we go. Got a nice little super chat coming from Christy. Didn't mean to blow your ears out there, guys, but there we go. Hands down, the sign of the horns with sparkles around. So it always. So on my end, all I do is see the description of the sticker sent. So that's awesome. I wish I could see the sticker. Okay. You're well aligned with your purpose. Rochelle saying you feel aligned with your purpose 100%. There's nothing better. Ian saying, well, we're happy to see you and have you doing the stream. And thank you for that. It's awesome. It's really cool to have you guys with me. Okay. Sense with Steph is just laughing probably at what you just said. Ian, I'm going to leave that to you guys in the chat. Damer says, how can you not be happy? Are you getting enough vitamin D? Vitamin D, yes. I take vitamin D daily. If that's not a sexual joke. Let's see here, Mikey. What? Mikey Loney? Is Mikey Loney on here? Somebody saying that? Am I missing something? Mikey Loney, if your stuff's not coming through, it's because you're not on YouTube. Jump to YouTube so I can see it. If Mikey Loney's saying something silly, I don't get to see it because it's not coming through. That sucks. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling down, let's take a look here. Marcus, so you guys, okay, I see you communicating amongst yourselves. This is awesome. It's really cool. Okay, a lot of sweatpants conversations. I'm gonna let you guys have that.
That's why I managed to stay single this whole time.
Answer questions. So here we go. Next question. Will you come to my wedding? And then there's an upside down face, which is appropriate because no, I won't come to your wedding. Okay. Here's a good one. What is the most valuable tool that you use in everyday life to get your success? What is the most valuable tool, guys? I don't know how to answer that besides it's my brain, right? It's my brain. Like that's my most valuable tool. But if there's like a mental tool or a sort of thing you guys can write down and use yourself that's not my brain. What's my most valuable tool that you use every day in life to get your success? I really would have to think about that, but quite a few things come to mind. But my most valuable tool, again, I've gone over it before tonight a lot, is it's my fault. It's all my fault. And if I don't have something I want, it's my fault. If I have something I want, it's my fault. So I give myself credit for the things I have, right? And I'm 41 years old. I'm not miserable. I'm not pissed at the world. I'm not angry, at life for not giving me the things I want. Not saying I'm not angry ever, but I've developed and I've become the kind of man I wanted to be. And that's really, really cool. So the best tool that I have is that it's all my fault. Whether I have something I want or don't, it's my fault. And that's probably my most valuable tool. The next one is I have a mental image of a gauge in my head. You can almost think of it as like I guess a timer, but it's more like a tachometer, where I ask myself, does this thing get me closer? Like how close or how far does this get me from the thing in which I'm trying to accomplish in my life? I have tasks, I have short-term, long-term tasks, and I have this gauge where if I'm engaging in something, for example, that I feel like is not moving the needle towards my goal, I'm just quitting. I'm walking away. Learned this from my buddy Rusty. He literally will just walk away if you're talking about shit that doesn't matter to him. Or if you bring up reoccurring stuff that's just fucking mindless and it's like, dude, you should have gotten this by now. It's the 10th time I've heard it. I'm walking away. It's fucking awesome. First time he did it to me, I thought we were no longer friends, but then I learned what he was doing and I appreciate it now. But that's it. I have this mental gauge that says, does this move me further or closer to my goal? Do that and ask yourself that with just about pretty much everything you do in your life. Take inventory of the things that move you to or from the things you want in life. And if you'll find often that if you're not getting what you want, then you're doing a lot of things that don't move you towards the goal. Simple as that. Okay, let's see. We have some questions coming in. Ian, thanks for asking. Do you like to go fishing? When was the last time you went fishing? So I go fishing almost every time I backpack, right? There's nothing like some butter and garlic on a fresh trout. Little brown trout up to the mountains. Never hurt nobody. Well, I'd rather have like a golden trout or a golden trout would be really cool, but rainbow trout, golden trout, brown trout, whatever. But yeah, I fish when I'm backpacking because it's like such good. Like when you're eating all this shit food on the trail, man, a nice fish is just wonderful. But do I like to go fishing? Not always. I've fished a lot growing up. Dad, I love you, but I'm glad you took me. But I did a lot of fishing growing up. A lot. We were on the river all the time. Danbury said YouTube is the best platform. Anybody using Facebook is old. Yes, thanks for being on YouTube. If you guys aren't on YouTube, you should be. It counts for my views, and it's just better for the whole overall experience. But it's okay if you're on Facebook. Stick with us till the end, but you should go to my YouTube and subscribe, no doubt. YouTube, by the way, guys, you might not think that this matters, but I get more Instagram followers daily, more comments, more engagement. YouTube is growing, right? I just hit, I think it was 1,620 subscribers now. Really, really cool. Just little stuff like that. People act like it doesn't matter, but it does. It definitely does to me. I think it's cool. Metrics are fun, and growth is fun. So doing things like making more money in a day, lifting more weights in a day, just doing things like that, is just really, really cool. Let's see here. Mindset and attitude is most valuable. So Curtis is on here saying the mindset and attitude is most valuable and required tools for high success. 100%. If you don't have a right mindset, you're going to be really fucked. Like, it's just, I don't care what kind of skills you have. If your mindset is jacked, you are fucked. And how do you know if your mindset's broken? How do you know? Curtis, would you be able to maybe chime in on that? I would love to know what you have to say. How do you know if your mindset is broken? Let's see here. By the way, Curtis, what are you doing right now? Why are we not jumping on a call? Why am I not bringing you on here? How come we're not chatting through here? Okay, I guess the timing on that to say, okay, we're getting into sweatpants talk again. Let's get here. Rainbow trout it is. Yes, 100%. Ian's kind of agreeing that his dad would take him backpacking and fishing. That's really cool. That's great memories. Okay, let's get to see if there's some last questions on here. We're getting pretty far here. Let's see, what time is it? It's been an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah, there we go. All right. There's some regulars that I don't see on here tonight. I'm wondering where you're at. If you're in the background, if you guys aren't commenting and you're not responding, looks like tonight, if I scroll through this really quickly, it is Dambria that is the comment queen tonight. Thank you, Dambria, for joining us. And thanks, everybody that sent the super chats at the bottom. Money sign. Click it. Send some money. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying for those that did. Super fucking rad. Appreciate you. Okay. Curtis says, when people avoid you and don't like being around you, you bring people down and complain. So that's how you know. So to my question earlier, he was saying that the mindset and attitude is most valuable and required tool for high success. And I said, how do you know if you have a mindset that's broken? And he said, when people avoid you and don't like being around you and you bring people down and complain, dude, 100%. Matter of fact, I think if you were to just guess, try to inventory your conversations with people and ask yourself, how much do you complain about shit? You probably have a pretty fucked mindset. You might want to do some work on that. If you need some help, let me know, and I will work with you one-on-one. I love to do this kind of shit. I might even just invite you to one of my classes, whether it's about tattooing or not, because it's most of the time what we're actually talking about is personal development. Tattooing is a very small sliver of my profession. Very small sliver. It's the thing I do, yes. It's the thing I get paid for, sure, but I don't get paid for it, and I can't do it if I don't take care of myself. And take care of myself is my personal development plan, my scheme, my agenda. Okay. Ian says, fitness has become a big part of my life. Let's see here. I'm trying to scroll down. It won't let me. There we go. How often do you hit the gym these days? So, Ian, how often do I hit the gym? Let's see. I'll try to answer this really clearly. I usually go twice a week without fail, and I'll do like a back shoulders day, and then I will do a chest arms day, or I'll do back shoulders arms, and then a whole day of just chest and front delts. That's pretty much my routine. But I just started doing legs because as my upper body's getting bigger, my legs are not following, and I like gray sweatpants, so I'm working on the legs now, and I've been having a real hard time getting in and out of my big old van. So anyway, that's my answer is 2. I'm going to start doing it 3 or 4. So this week's been 4, and that's about it. But if I could just do 2 and get away with it, that's fine. But the problem is I like it so much that I miss it the days I don't go, and I am just in a worse mood. So I need to start incorporating more gym days. But I was going to the gym for about a year, 5 days a week. And as soon as I cut it down to 2, I started noticing massive growth in my strengths, my lifts. And I mean, it jumped massively because I think I was not giving myself enough time to recover. So recovery's, especially at 41 years old, is key. But I'm definitely getting stronger and I'm feeling a lot better. So it's pretty awesome. And it's very, very cool. It's very fun. Okay, so that's my answer there. Okay, Lena, sorry for the sound effect. She says personal development. Yes, that's what tonight is about. That's what I wanted to talk about. I love this topic. If I could just talk about this topic, I'd probably be super cool with it for the rest of my life. Makes me very happy. Okay. I'm not going to read all that, but Dambria, thanks for your input. Okay, let's see if do you have any more questions? What's going on here? What's up with the questions section? This is a good question, but really hard to answer. You guys are good. You guys are real good. Let's get to this question. What has been your biggest lesson thus far? I don't know how to answer that. My biggest lesson this far? I don't know. Maybe my biggest lesson is that that's going to be real hard to explain quickly. Let's see here. My biggest lesson this far. Before I answer that, let me get to these comments here real quick. So Sense with Steph is saying, yeah, but sometimes weak people are intimidated and avoid stronger personalities / more successful people because it makes them recognize their shortcomings as a person. That's good. That's a good thing. That's the point. It's weak repellent. Being strong is weak people repellent. No doubt. I think that's what you're saying there. Okay, let's see here. Just reminded me, I'm still in my 30s. Yes, Rochelle, you are still in your 30s and enjoy it while you still can. And I'm in my 40s and I'm enjoying it while I still can. Lena is saying, so you have classes? Yes, Lena, I have classes. These classes we should be talking about here pretty shortly once I get to the end of these questions, which I have 3 more. And then we're going to talk about the classes here in a second. If you guys don't already know, I won't bore you too much, but I'll show them to you. Okay. All right. So the next question is, what has been your biggest lesson thus far? So I'm going to explain something to you. It's on topic, but a little different. The biggest lesson that I've learned this far. Man, sorry for the armpit share. So the biggest lesson that I've learned so far, I would say, is actually the most important lesson. The most important lesson in this life that I've learned so far. You know, we talked about personal development and growth and how to become the thing you admire so that you can give it back to the world, which is really great. But the biggest lesson I've learned in life, and I imagine it this way, because some people have been stranded on islands, left alone, left deserted, left to die, people have been tortured and put in camps and enslaved and, just put in the worst of places. And your mindset, even in these scenarios, like a book that I've read by Viktor Frankl, which is Man's Search for Meaning, is so remarkable because it really all comes down to personal growth. And the thing about that is, so this is the biggest lesson I've learned so far, or I would call it the most important lesson I've learned so far. When you can find the cosmos, when you can find God, when you can find the gold in everything, in the Bible it says the meek shall inherit the earth. When you can find, this is going to sound, this is going to go over some of your guys' heads. I don't have time to explain it completely, but this would be a great topic for another live. So when you can find fulfillment in something as simple as a grain of sand, and I mean this wholeheartedly, a blade of grass, a breeze on a hot or cold day, the sun shining on your face and you get to feel it on your cheeks, the sounds of kids playing or birds chirping, simple stuff, right? Nothing new to you guys. You're aware, everybody's aware of these things and experiences these things. But when you can find the true magic in those things, making $1, making an impact, inspiring one person, having one person, at least one person, if not 21 persons, 21 person, 21 people on here watching tonight, whatever it is, one more breath you get in life, one more time you get to blink and open your eyes back up again. How cool is that? One more intentional. When you can find the gold in that, you won. That's the most important thing I've ever learned. When you have a child and you only get to hold that child for a day or a week or a month or a year or 20 years, or a loved one or somebody you in this life you've shared with, things that maybe with this one person you no longer have, that let's say are some of your deepest, darkest secrets. Not necessarily that they have to be evil or bad, but there's things about you that nobody in this world knows because that person's gone and you only had him for a short time, or that job that you wish you still had, or that position in high school, or that football team, or that play, or that one thing that you wish you still had, but what you don't realize is that you had it. And when you can find in life fulfillment just out of that, just out of having had it, tongue twister, being able to just have these experiences, when you can find the gold in that, and that it's enough, and that it's more than enough, that it's a gift beyond your imagination, us as humans have a real hard time really feeling the weight and the gift that life brings you on a regular basis. Like, it's easy to see a grain of sand or a leaf or something and just throw it away and go, there's so many and they're so abundant. But what's interesting is I can't make one. You can't make one. Nobody on this planet can make one. But yet to you, it's not good enough. But it's a miracle. It's all a miracle, man. And when you can find that gold, fuck, this is all pretty badass after that. You want to talk about happiness? There you go. If you can find the gold in all the little things, if you can find God inside this cosmos and all the simplest of things, right? Like, how many of you guys, you're sitting on the other side of the screen right now, and even people in the future that are watching it after this video's post, and we'll make some clips of this later on and repost it. The fact that there's humans engaging with each other, and that we're sitting here spending this moment in time on this rock flying through the universe. Fuck, dude. I don't know how much more you guys, I don't know. I don't know how much more you guys need. I'm not saying don't go for more. I'm going to reach for more because it's an opportunity, and I'm not going to waste it and squander it because it's been given to me. But I've got it all. I mean, we win. If we're inheriting this earth, we win. That's the truth. There we go. So that's the most important thing I've ever learned in my life. So that was one one of the last questions. We'll get to a few more, and then we're done with that. We'll talk about some news. Okay, Lena says, I love simple things. Absolutely. Awesome. And Rochelle saying, I absolutely understand that feeling is what I call peace. There we go. So people are totally digging it. Ian saying, do you have any desire to travel? What is the number one place you'd like to visit? Yes, I love traveling. I've been traveling my whole life. I plan on traveling my whole life. And one of the number one places I'd like to visit is Fiji. There's a lot of them, man. I'm going to go to Scotland. I'm going to Fiji. Go see the Northern Lights and Yellowknife. I'm going to go everywhere. I'm going to see it all. The world is my oyster. Natalie, thanks for sending that. You know I love them. Okay. Curtis says, besides family and kids, what are you most proud of? Good question. Besides family and kids, what am I the most proud of? You know, I typically don't like to answer this because I don't really like to think of myself that way. But there is something that has come up in the last, let's say, 7 years of my life that I've lived long enough now, 41 years old. And at this time, when I learned this lesson, I was about 37, 38. That even when I'm beat down and broken at my lowest, even when I'm absolutely fucking destroyed mentally and emotionally, and just really in every way, when I've been at my absolute lowest, I don't hurt people, and I don't try to bring them down with me, even if they're treating me that way. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is that the foundation I built, the man I've been able to become, doesn't even even at my absolute lowest, I still somehow find a way, even when being, let's say, vengeful or spiteful is completely justified. I don't. I don't do that, and I'm more thankful. I'm not. That's why it's weird to say I'm proud of it, because I'm more thankful for being that way, because it's a better life. But at the same time, I know that when I realized that there was people in my life that were treating me pretty crappy, pretty crummy during my lowest points, even me, I didn't. Even when totally justified, I could have done things that would have been totally legit, but would have maybe hurt these people, or kind of got give them a gotcha moment, or a right back at you, or taste of their own medicine. I don't resort to it. I don't need to. Whether I'm on my A game or I'm at my lowest, either way, I don't resort to that. And how would you know that about yourself unless you're really tested, right? How would you ever possibly know that that's the case for you until you're tested? And I've been tested, and that's the truth. So I'll say I'm proud of it. I'll give myself that grace because I deserve it. But at the same time, I'm really just thankful for it, because, wow, such a better life. Such a better life being that way. Okay, being grateful for the things we do have. 100%, Amanda. Okay, I'm a little behind. Let me scroll down a little and catch up with you guys. Surround yourself with a like. That's fun. That's really cool, Ian, that you shared that. I like that. I can't. That's too long to bring on the screen, but I dig that, because when we're young, we start to realize we're not the only people on this planet, and that we're all doing this shit together. Sometimes to your comment there, sometimes I look around and I see people, and I think to myself, how interesting that we all feel like we're just like these individuals. Like, I'm Josh, you're Ian, she's Dambria, that's Rochelle. Those are these people. But at the same time, I really don't. I think it's just an illusion. I just think it's a part of the organism we are as humans, like the human organism on this planet. We all have our own individual seeming consciousness, but we really don't. I think it's probably one conscious that we're all tapping into, just like an atom or a cell does, just like a star does, just like our galaxy is, just like you and I are. But you call yourself Ian, I call myself Joshua. And I think really, if we could see the whole thing, aside from the human experience and limitation of our own minds, our own brains, I really think we're all the same thing. I just think we're all in different bodies, and we have different names for that individual body, but it's really all the same shit. So it's cool that you said that about your kindergarten experience. Okay, let's get to the last two questions. What is something that helped you this week? Wisdom, lessons, books. Something that helped me this week is that I brainstormed with my assistant at the shop one night, and I realized how important it is to the question, I realized how important it is to be bold. So that's what I learned this week. That's something I developed, or shouldn't say developed, but that's something I discovered that I need to do more of. I actually wrote up my hand, and I fell asleep with my hand on my face, and I woke up and it was on my face, And I looked in the mirror and I just thought, wow, that's really cool. It was like, it was backwards, but it's really cool because being bold is quite a skill, and it's really a gift to be bold. It's absolutely a gift. When you're an artist, nothing will serve you better than being bold. So being bold, I dig that. There's a huge difference between being bold and being cocky, or being bold and being an asshole, or being bold and being hurtful. Like I'm bold in saying that I love my country and I love the flag, and of course, Danbury, of course, there you go. Thanks for sending it. I like to be bold in the things I believe in and the things that I know have helped me, and things that have been, part of my journey that have been impactful, whether positive or negative, and I like to share them because, well, if you don't do that, then you're really not doing anybody any justice just by acting like you just feel good all the time, playing the part. It doesn't do it. It just doesn't serve anybody. Yes, Rochelle, I totally agree with your comment. Okay. So that was the thing. That's what I learned this week. So last question of the night, unless you guys send them here in the comment section, and then we're going to get to some of the classes that are coming up and wrap this up tonight with you. What do you do to change negative thoughts that creep in? It's a really good question. I think that might be one of my favorite questions of the night. What do you do to change negative thoughts that creep in, which is inevitable for sure? Okay. What do I do to change negative thoughts that creep in? The first thing I do is pattern interrupt to this question. Just pattern interrupt. Think about something else immediately. As soon as you recognize it, which is key, first you have to recognize it, and then interrupt the pattern. So think of something else, do something else. Just don't let it. So this is like the worst way to explain this, but I'll do it best I can, being the non-scientist that I am. So for your brain to formulate a thought, it has to fire synapses, and those synapses get strengthened by, I'll probably get it wrong if I try to say it. It's some sort of almost like a protein inside your brain that bridges the gap. It's forgetting what it's called. So your brain creates synapses, and then other things come to the rescue and make those synapses stronger till eventually it builds a bridge, and then eventually it gets so solidified that it's almost impossible to destroy, but it can atrophy over time to some extent. Some things, not all things. Like your whole brain is not so malleable as you think it is. It's really less malleable than you can imagine. But the parts of it that you can, like behaviors and ideas and patterns, you can be in control of them to a large degree by pattern interrupting them and allowing them to eventually decay and die off. So one of the things I do to change my negative thoughts, or the ones that creep in, is one, I first recognize them, I inventory them, I like to pay attention to them, which I find most of the time, like most of us, when I do it in the morning, I take a shower, I have these negative, when I do it in the morning and take a shower, when I'm doing it, it's in the morning when I'm taking a shower, these negative thoughts come in and I start to run these huge scenarios. I know most of you right now are going, yeah, fuck, I do that. These huge scenarios, I'll run out my whole day, my whole last week, or the whole conversation I had with someone, something negative usually, and it just creeps in and I have a whole life that just plays out in my fucking head. And then I'm like, dude, what? Stop. Turn the shower off, dry off, let's get to work. This is dumb. And so pattern interrupt it and then maybe replace it. So that's what I do, is a pattern interrupt and a replacement. I really think that's a good question. So thanks for sending that. Okay, so it looks like Kimmy's on here. Kimmy, thanks for joining us. Curtis, so Kimmy's saying, Curtis, I'm most proud of my ability to love people and make them feel really loved. And make them really feel loved. And Kimmy, you know what? You are wonderful for that. And you are not wrong in saying that's you wouldn't be wrong in saying that's one of your superpowers, because it is. You're a very caring, loving, giving person. Rochelle says, learn that you are not your mind. I dig that. She says, we are not our thoughts. You're right. Thoughts are just something we have, but it is not us. It's something we experience. Okay, Barkis is on here. Barkis, thank you so much. She says, I told you this week that I'm so proud of you for being so badass. Go, Joshua. Yes, Barkis, you have said that to me this week. And because of it, I, of course, 100% appreciate it.
That's what she said.
Yes,
A little bit of sound effects. Let's get some good sound effects for that. So,
You can't handle the truth.
yes, you have told me this week. What was it this week? Did I tattoo you this week? Man, I'm on autopilot sometimes. I apologize. But I just tattooed Barkis, and her fucking arm came out great. And she did tell me how proud she was of me, and I appreciate it because it goes a long way. And I really appreciate you for saying that. Rochelle says the mind is heavily driven by ego. This is not who we are unless you accept it to be so. I agree. I always think that there's two parts of our experience in life. There's the cosmic you, and then there's the little you. The little you seems really big when you forget about the cosmic you. When you get trapped in the little you, which is tiny, it's like a fucking grain of salt inside you. And then the cosmos is infinite, right? It's godlike. It's forever. It's infinite. So when you get, and you are part of that too. And when you get stuck in the little you, which is this little grain of sand inside you, that when you get stuck in it, it seems huge. It itself becomes the universe to you, and all your problems just cascade and get worse. And you're just so thoughtless to others and so wrapped up in yourself. And it's the definition of depression. It's the definition of selfishness. It's the definition of a lot of the negative characteristics we hold when we're holding them, is thinking so small. You think it's huge. All your problems seem so big because you're thinking about yourself. Like you're always thinking about yourself when you're, saying, stating unsatisfactory conditions, right? You're complaining. That's what I think of it. Like you just said, the mind is heavily driven by ego, and that is not who we are unless you accept it to be so. I think that the ego is the little us, and it's easy to get stuck in it and to be totally unaware of the cosmic us, which is infinite and connected to all things, always has been, always will be. Infinite wisdom is we are signals to it, and it is a signal to us. We're absolutely connected. There's no doubt about that. But it is possible to get stuck in the ego, which is so small that it seems like that's all you are. But when you're in the cosmic self, you're totally aware of ego, and you accept it for what it is. It's very tiny. It's okay. It's totally fine. You don't have to identify so completely with it. You can identify with something that's cosmic. It's godlike, right? So I like that, Rochelle. Thanks for saying it. Okay, let's see here. Let's get through these. Ian says, I feel when I'm accepting negative thoughts, I'm being lazy. I tell myself, quit being lazy and fix the problems. I dig that, because that's really what it is. It's just intellectual laziness, right? Your brain is a tool you have to use, and sometimes it's not on your fucking side. Like, that's the truth. Plenty of water today. I got to work out with Peachy this morning. It was really cool. So I'm drinking plenty of water because I did a nice heavy workout. Rochelle says, I love being in my cosmic self. I totally agree, and I totally do too. Curtis says, looking forward to that roundtable mindset discussion. That's awesome. There we go. That's really cool. I used to actually have a little group of guys that I'd get around and we'd have what's called the roundtable conversation. And I should bring that shit back. That's the roundtable. It's where we're all equals. If you guys understand the point of the roundtable, we're all equals, and we're all here to grow, get stronger, and share ideas. That would be a really cool sort of format for podcasts and storytelling. So it's awesome. So thanks for saying that. Okay. Did I get to the last question? I sure did, and that was a really good one. I'm going to share with you guys something real quick that, let's see here. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to share something you guys I just did. So I did 2 of these, I believe, this week, which is really cool. So I did a color one. I actually should share both. So I just did this tattoo. I'm only showing off a little, guys. Okay, whatever. So I did this one. Let me see if I can find the other one so I can send it to my old computer and show it to you. Yeah, let's do this. Here we go. Let's send this to the old computer. All right. So this first one right here that you're seeing is black and gray. I just did this one today, and it was really cool. The guy actually had really dark skin, so I did edit the image a little to bring up the highlights. How did that just get declined? That's weird. Accept, please. There we go. Tech. Who knew? So let me bring up this other one. Not those. This one here. There we go. Okay. So let me get this one up. So this is also one that I just did on Barkus. So this one was super fun. So we'll talk about both for a second. So this one's like a Viking warrior chick, and then the other one is essentially a Valkyrie. That's definitely not it. That's the Viking warrior chick. Let me go here real quick and find that other one. Let's move that out of the way. To shuffle through some of these. So this girl right here was really cool to tattoo. Sorry, I'm shuffling. To tattoo the color. It took all day, and it was awesome. It's obviously not finished, but this is Barkus. If you guys want to see this in person, what you got to do is come to our event. We're going to have a wine night coming up soon. I'll share with you in a second. But we also are going to have a paint night. The paint night will be for Valentine's Day. So here's what you do. You bring a date or you come single. If you come single, we're going to sit you on one side of the room. If you have a date, we're going to sit you on the other side of the room. And if you bring a friend and they're single, but you're not, and you want to sit together, that's awesome. You guys can sit together, but we're going to put dunce hats on. I'm just kidding. We're not going to shame you, but we're going to definitely give out wristbands for if you're over 21 and also wristbands if you're single. That way you can mingle. It's not really a dating hookup night, but you never know. It does turn into that time to time. But anyway, you guys can see this in person if you come to the paint night, which you should. Why wouldn't you? Tickets are available online. So this is the Viking warrior that we just did on Barkus. And if you guys show up, you can see her magical sleeve, her magical tattoos that I've been giving her. So there's one that I just did the other day and I love it. And here's, like I said, the other one. This was a Valkyrie that I just made up, put some wings on the side of both of her head, both wings. I put wings on both sides of her head, and this was a black and gray on a pretty dark-skinned person, so I didn't really get the tones I exactly wanted, but check those eyes out. I definitely tried to make them look like a crystal sort of look. It was super, super fun. Okay, let's see. Detail. Yes, thank you very much for that, Landy. Appreciate it. And Amanda saying, wow, that's phenomenal. Thank you very much. Those eyes, right? That's the whole point, is to get you with the eyes. Okay, that hair clip and eyes, that hair clip. Okay, so thank you for noticing the hair clip. So those are supposed to be Valkyrie wings, but I'll take hair clip. Christy loves her lips, and so do I. Okay, love the color. Spicy paint night. Yes, Ian, you should come to the paint night. You should get some tickets. We do have people come from out of state, so you should show up. Glow in her eyes. Beautiful. Thank you guys so very much. That's awesome. Don't even know how to paint. Lena, that's the point, is you don't have to know how to paint. You just have to show up and we're going to teach you. That's the point of paint night. You could be a total idiot artist and suck completely and we're going to help you. Amanda's saying perfection. Thank you, Amanda. These eyes. I'm going to zoom in a little more because who doesn't just love that? Look at that. Look at that. Can we keep going? How far? What are we doing here? I don't know what's up. Look at that. Look at those eyes. Huh? That's what I'm talking about. Wait, should we get some music in here? Let's see. What do we got? There we go. Look at these eyes. You guys like that? Oh, that's not going to work. Okay. So this one is the, see, this is the website for the tickets. I'm going to give you guys some insight real quick. So if you go to our website, so I'm just kind of, let me get rid of this real quick so I can see your guys' comments. So if you go to our website, if you've never been to it before, this is High Sierra Tattoo Co., where the tickets for paint night will be. So if you scroll down on the homepage, look what you see right here. So you click on this and you purchase one. And when you purchase one, so you can just, I think you should be able to click on the actual image. There you go. Lovers and Friends Paint Night. So there you go. Date night, paint night. You can buy your tickets. And right now it's actually asking you to subscribe to our email newsletter, which you haven't already. It'll be a pop-up when you get to our website. You should 100% right here fill out your email address to get news, notifications, and discounts. And there are plenty of those. So don't be dumb. Sign up. Also, go get your tickets. That's what you do. If you don't get your tickets, you don't get to come. So here are your date night tickets for paint night. And they're available online. So you can do that now at highsierratattooco.com. All right. So there is that. We're also going to talk a little bit about some of the events coming up. So Landy says, got ahead of myself. What did she say back there? I must not have said. Oh, can we purchase for paint night? Yes. So that's why we're here. Okay. Class we're going to be. Lena says, is that when the class are going to be? Or classes? No, this is not a class. This is just paint night. This is fun. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to have some snacks. We're going to have some entertainment. Do some painting, meet some cool people, and just have a good time. You don't have to be good at any of these things, whether it's drinking, painting, or people. Just show up, and it's a lot of fun. Landy says, spicy paint night. Landy, by the way, I think was our winner of our best, most detailed or whatever painting for Halloween. She did really amazing. So Landy should go to this too. So go get your tickets right here. They're available online. You can get them now, and we will see you paint night. Also, I'm going to bring up my other website. We're doing a lot of things around here. There it is, the Tattoo Vault. So this is the tattoovault.com. That's the website. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a few more upcoming classes since Lena brought it up. So if you scroll down on the homepage, what you're going to see is 3 classes. This one, if you notice, is 11924 this Friday at 6 p.m. in person. This is an in-person class. So to secure your spot, just go ahead and click on this and sign up. So this in-person class is going to be the same as these other classes, except for different dates. And one of these is, as you can see, is online. So we spelled it out pretty simple for you guys, almost in crowns, so that it's dumb for you not to go. So So if you're wondering what the classes are, basically it's how to become a tattoo artist, how to get in the industry. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you're into business at all, if you're into personal development, if you're into any of the things we talked about tonight, most of what we're going to talk about during these classes is actually about that. It's surprising to a lot of people because they think they're going to come learn about needles and tattoos and ink and machines and all these things. And you are going to learn about some of those things, but then you're going to realize how much none of it really actually matters if you suck at personal development or if you suck as a person. So this class is really awesome. You guys should show up to it if you want to go. It's completely free. It's always going to be free. I don't do them all year. I only do a select few. So you should show up. If you've been to one already, I promise you this one's going to be different. But do bring a notepad and paper if you would like to show up. Otherwise, we're going to kick you out. Okay, so Lena, hopefully that explains it a little. I'll also tell you a little bit about the online one, which is pretty simple. It's the same thing, but online. So Damber says, I think there's sales tax versus paying cash online at the shop. Yeah, you can totally pay cash. Come into the shop, pay cash. Cash is king. You know we love it.
Give me your fucking money!
Don't be afraid. Come into the shop and do your thing. Some of you are just too shy, but you should come into the shop and buy. I would rather you come into the shop and buy tickets, but it's fine. You can buy them online too. That's why I made them there, because not everybody's in town, and I get that. So there you go. Natalie, thanks as always. I never get bored of this. I'll do a whole episode like this. Will you be doing a tattoo on fake skin class in the near future? Yeah, so that's next. So after these 3 classes, that's something we're actually putting in the works now because we got to get the equipment for it, and we have to have machines to be able to supply for everybody that aren't our own personal, so we don't have issues there. So that is something I'm working on. There's some insurance issues and some health department licensing requirement issues that I have to work out first. But that is something that's coming up. Whether you're experienced, want to learn tattoos, or just want to know what it's like, we're going to have a class for you to work on fake skin. Okay. Yes, thank you. Damber is saying, I'm having Amber put me through some pain before the class. Don't know what that means, but maybe it's piercings. I don't know. Ambergram's been doing the piercings. Okay, let's get back to the classes. Right here online, you can see on the website, you can go to the online class as well on the 23rd. You can sign up for it here, or you can just watch it because it's going to be live streamed here on YouTube. But if you sign up for it, what happens is you get the notifications for it. We're going to give you, it's basically signing up for the newsletter as well, is what it is, if you sign up and secure your spot. So do the online one. If you've seen the last one, it's going to be similar-ish, but I'm going to have some students that can't make it in person that are from around the country and maybe out of the country, possibly, watching and asking questions. So it'll be really informative. And that online class will be on the 2/23/24. So it's a Friday, I believe, at 6. It's going to be awesome. I think it's a Friday. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. Might be a Monday. I think I'm going to try different dates for different times. See what's most lucrative to get the most people on and reach the most people and solve problems for them. And then there's another in person on 4/20/24. So there we go. Sign up for these, secure a spot. If you guys know somebody or think you know somebody that might be interested, whether it's a mother or a father or parents out there that are trying to get their kids into this industry, go to this page. And when you get to the top of it, right, if you guys don't know how already, go right here to the tattoo vault and left click it, right? And go to, actually, that's not true. Don't do that. Go here. It's still higher. I got to show you. Sorry. So go here, right? Highlight this, left click, copy. That's what you do. You copy it, and then you send that to somebody. If you're on your phones, you could do the same thing. You just double click on it, hit copy or share. It might say other things on different devices, but what you can do is then send this link to somebody, or just DM me, have them DM me, and I'll send the link. But getting people to sign up for this, it's a free class. You're going to learn more shit than, it's going to be better than most people's paid shit. I'll tell you right now, most people's paid classes. So go to this class, even if you're just interested in business and not necessarily tattooing, or if you're a piercer, or you're a permanent cosmetic artist, or you're in the cosmetics industry, or really into any industry, promise you, you're going to get a lot out of this. So there you go. Hopefully, Lena, that answers a lot of your questions. So there we go. Now you guys know about the events, you know about the tickets, you know about the things coming up in the future. I didn't talk about wine night. That's coming up, but you got to subscribe to the newsletter to find out. So don't be shy. Okay. But just saying. Thank you. Cheaper to 6 months. Yes, that's right. So Landy, we hope to see you in the shop. Pick up those tickets. Okay. Class, but I might not hear well. Well, I don't know what that means. So I'll be in the class, but I might not hear well. So I'm not sure what that means, but I'll speak really loud. Okay, guys and girls, ladies, gentlemen, Artistic Freedom family. It's been really, let's see, make sure I got to all the questions. I sure did. Make sure there's nothing new coming in through the old Facebooky. I want to make sure I got to all of you guys. It's the biggest. Yes. Okay. So I got them all. Good. Thanks for being on here. This was fun. If you guys have any last remarks in the next few minutes, is time to do it. It's been 2 hours. So it's now 9:30. It's time to go. So we'll be saying farewell here in just a moment. Lena, thanks for being on here. It looks like you're jumping off. Appreciate you. Okay. And let's see what else we can do. So there is actually, so let's see if I can find it. Don't know if I can. Yeah, I don't have it on here. I wish I did. I could send it to my computer and show you, but there's some information for the wine night coming up. We're doing small tattoos, so you guys can walk in and get wine, and there's a bunch of cool shit. So trying to sell you a little more, but really just trying to give you guys something rad. We have some awesome tumblers, cups, things you haven't seen before that nobody's seen before. It's for Virgin Eyes, only the night of the wine and tattoo night. So you guys should show up. You guys should come into the shop and see some of the things we got going on, because they're pretty badass. Like, I see it and I get fucking pumped. And when I show it to other people, even if it's just a photo, they're super pumped too. So it's really cool. Wendy, thanks for being on here. She's saying, thanks. This was refreshing. Curtis saying, good show. You know what, Curtis? Appreciate you. Thanks for being on here with me. Thanks for being on here on the show multiple times. And I look forward to doing it again, because it's pretty fucking rad. Good night, Kimmy. Thanks for being on here. Always love sending the flowers. Have a wonderful week. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you should go to YouTube and subscribe. That's what really helps this channel and what helps me be able to do this more, and just in the future how we can move forward. So I appreciate it if you guys do that. Don't jump off now, but at the end, if you guys are on the YouTube, if you're not on the YouTubes, then do that on the interwebs. Find me, Joshua Ray Farmer, YouTube. Do it. Okay. Natalie says, I think it's wonderful that you share knowledge and inspiration with people. That's awesome, because it's super fun. And thanks for okay. Good night, Kimmy. Thanks for being on here. Sense with Steph. Thanks for being on here. Christy, everybody. I really appreciate you guys. Brody, thanks for saying that. What a great show. Okay. So you guys have a good time. I'm glad that we covered the classes. We talked about the courses, what they're going to consist of, the paint night, the events, everything that's coming up. We talked about it. We went over it. If you have questions, you know what to do. We have a shop. We have front doors. We have a phone number. We have a website. We have everything. We have a live stream. We do all these things. So you know how to connect with me. You know how to get a hold of me. I really appreciate you guys jumping on here with me and talking about personal development, because how rad is that and how fun was it? I hope it was. If you guys liked it, send me a DM of what you liked about it. It would be really cool to hear from you and what you guys get out of it. If you really like these episodes, there's going to be shorts made from them. Don't be afraid to share them. Just kind of giving you some tips on how you can support what we do here. You guys obviously love it, and I love it too. So share it with a friend. Tell somebody about it. If you can think of somebody that wants to go to the classes, these are completely free. They'll always be free. And I think it's really important that young people learn how to be professionals and how to also embark on the journey of personal development and via the tattoo industry. So that's what I've done, and that's what I'm giving back. So there we go. Rochelle says, hey, should we ask for a specific topic for Valentine's Day? I'm guessing Valentine's Day is on a Wednesday, right? So maybe. No, from here on out, I'm going to do my best to have specific topics, whether it's just this is a Q&A section or a segment, or this is going to be, actually something we do in the future with, like, let's say, different topics and things you guys throw my way, or things that other people throw my way, or whatever comes up. We're going to work on getting this show up and on the road. We're going to get this road on the show. Okay. If that helps. Okay, guys, thanks. Girls, ladies, gentlemen, freaks, artistic freedom family, weirdos, and all you space people, all you cosmic space people out there. Yeah, I appreciate you. Artistic freedom family. Till next time, we out. Episode 86, over.